Hi, I'm Rachel Downey and welcome to round 3 of the Britcar MSA British Endurance Championship from sunny Snetterton. Coming up on today's show. Expert analysis from James Tucker, founder and director of Britcar, and Simon Phillips, team manager of Motionsport. We'll be talking about the 24-hour race at Silverstone and we'll be looking at a qualifying lap from Dave Pittard. But first, the main event on the Britcar calendar is the annual 24-hour race at Silverstone. We asked some of the teams and drivers what makes this race so special.
3 hours must be crazy in one of these cars, but 24 hours, that's a whole nother challenge. So what does the 24-hour race mean to you?
Well, for us, it's a great challenge. We've been doing endurance racing for a few years now, but we've never done anything like 24-hour race. And really the 24-hour race is the ultimate challenge for endurance races, so it means an awful lot to us.
And how do you feel about it?
Well, yeah, it's going to be really good fun. A long event, longest event we've ever done is 3 hours, so it's going to be a massive challenge for us, and it's going to be a really good personal goal for us as well.
So what challenge is the 24-hour race for you?
It's obviously a battle of endurance from the start, and it's all about getting to the finish. So we'll probably take a really slow approach at the beginning and then not worry about having to crack the best pace possible, but probably go faster and faster as the race develops.
Yeah, 24-hour races are always interesting. It's slightly different from the 3-hour stuff we're doing now. It's a real team effort. The guys put a massive effort into preparing the car, so then it's down to us drivers really to look after it for all of those 24 hours and make sure we get across the line.
I think the biggest challenge is to force yourself to leave the circuit. Your adrenaline's running very high, you're keen to keep an eye on how the team's going, how the other drivers are going, and it's a real effort to drag yourself away from the side of the track because you've got to rest.
The Britcar 24 is on the 21st to 23rd of September. Last year's winners done 573 laps. There's 60 cars, there was 70,000 litres of fuel used, over 2,000 tyres, 330 amazing marshals and 450 drivers, all at the Britcar 24, only at Silverstone on the 23rd of September.
So James, Britcar was founded as a way to get 24-hour racing into the UK. What was your inspiration behind this?
Oh, I didn't have inspiration.
No thought.
No, we were in the Piston Class, which is a very nice bar.
Right.
Nürburgring, having done another 24-hour race. And they said, well, what about a race in the UK? And I said, well, the Wilhars finished, which finished in about 94.
Oh, wow, okay.
And we're now talking about 98.
Yeah.
And it took us another sort of 4 or 5 years really to put the idea, the concept together. And it was done more as a bet than anything else. We found a £10 note on the floor in a pub.
So that is true about the £10 note. I love that story.
Yeah, I tell a good story.
Yeah, and we will see.
And I gave it to my partner at the time, John Vanez, and said to him, bank it on Monday morning. And that was the launch of what was then the European Endurance Racing Club.
Is it a lot of work? Do you enjoy the race, the 24-hour race?
The race itself, I get very nervous.
Do you?
Very nervous.
I can't imagine that.
As a driver, even though I've been retired for 10 years, the build-up, the adrenaline rush and so on and so forth is still there.
Wow.
And the responsibility is now there as well. So
it's a huge responsibility.
I'm responsible for sort of 450 drivers.
Wow.
300 marshals and my staff.
So 1 or 2 people?
1 or 2 people.
That's madness. And Simon, what's your involvement in the 24-hour race?
Well, I've done done Britcar a number of times, a few other 24-hour races around the world, and what James says about being at Silverstone is a massive pull to the circuit. For us, it's a local circuit, so it's quite good as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think as James said, last year was the first time we'd done it with our team Motionsport. Previously, I'd done it with various other teams, and it was good for us to we've got a car that was built specifically for doing Britcar 24. We sort of went through the regs and spoke to James on a number of occasions, and we knew the Lotus platform very well. And we knew that could be an incredibly competitive car. So it was good this year to sort of get it all together. And James says that the thing is kind of a team principle. And it was the first race I didn't actually drive in as well, which was even more nerve-wracking for me.
It must have been.
But there's so much going on. There's so many tactic decisions. There's a lot of responsibility, as James says. You've got your crew, you've got your drivers. Bear in mind, people are there's people paying quite healthy sums of money to be involved with it, and you don't want to let down. And we had a few dramas that weekend as well, including an engine swap between day and night qualifying. And
that's madness.
No, it's not. No, that's all.
That's all normal.
That is the mindset of engine.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
it
is the mindset.
And part of the package that you offer to drivers is that you're prepared to do that.
You break it down and make it sound very easy. Time now to look at a qualifying lap with Dave Pittard.
Let's take a little look at the Snetterton 300 circuit for round 3 of the Britcar. Very iconic motorsport circuit, Snetterton, and some great names and some new corners with a new infield section as well. The centre straight leads into an extremely quick right-hander of Ritchie's. Lots of action as you see going in through Ritchie's, but then the Montreal hairpin as we lead back onto the new part of the circuit is guaranteed for action. As you accelerate through Palmer's down the straight towards Agostini's, there's a corner there where plenty of overtaking will be taking place. Powering out of Agostini's through Hamilton, then into the tricky little section of Oggies and Williams. Back out into the old existing straight, the Bentley straight, flat out down the Bentley straight as you come into tricky little left-hander through Brundle and in through Nelson. The bomb hole, well, that's been the bomb hole since day one. Through the bomb hole, then you go into Coram, a very fast, ever-tightening long right-hander before we come up to Murray's. Somebody we commentators long to live up to. That's a lap of Snetterton. It's 2.97 miles, and there's going to be action all the way around the Snetterton 300.
Thanks, Duncan. I'm here with David, and he's just about to talk us through his lap.
Here we are at Snetterton 300 circuit in Norfolk. We're coming along the start-finish line here, just topping 150 miles an hour. Braking at the number 2 board, down 2 gears, clipped the first apex, let it run out a little bit on the second apex, heading towards the Montreal hairpin. Again at the second board, down 3 gears, turn it in, try and get on the power as early as you can. A little bit of a slide on the exit there, over the curb, have a nice exit into a fast left-hander here. Just down, just on the brakes here, turning it in, again just feeding in the power nice and gently, using the curb on the exit. Heading into one of the infield hairpins again on the number 2 board, hard on the brakes, down the gears as quick as you can, get the car in, on that power as early as you can. Gear shifter issue there, had to use not the paddle shift there. Turning into Hamilton, very quick corner through there, good fun to drive, very bouncy. Again, turning into Oggies, good corner this, I like it. You have to be very patient on the throttle. And then it's all about getting a really good exit onto the back straight here. So early on the power as you can, fully committed halfway through the corner, a little bit of grass there, harden the power all the way down the Bentley straight. This is where we're topping top gear, 150 miles an hour, braking just before you get underneath the bridge. Harden the brakes, down 2 gears, turn it in, then down 1 gear, down another, bit of a slide, then harden that power again, heading towards the bomb hole. Daunting corner here, dab on the brakes, get it in, hard back on that power again, hit the drain cover there, bounce me right up. And coming into long Coram, really long corner, got a bit of a traffic here, just managed to pip it round the outside of him, didn't affect me too much, down 2 gears, and again, best exit you can onto the main straight. Use all the curb, up the gears, and that is good enough for P1 in Class 4 Britcar here at Snetterton.
Do you think that you'll stay on the same set of tyres for the day?
Having a look at the weather this morning, fingers crossed it will be dry all day. We'll be doing a tyre change in the middle to put some new rubber on to get those extra few seconds throughout the race, but I think the weather's set for the day, hopefully, and it's really nice. If it's a bit windy, but it doesn't matter.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you very much.
So let's take a look at the qualifying grid for race number 3. 23rd sees Shelton and Faulkner in their BMW M3 GTR car after a qualifying session. 22nd we've got Goer and Coulson in the Lotus Elise. All the way down to 21st car, Clark and Gibson, Intersport Racing BMW. They're quite far out of position, so we'll watch for them coming through. Lunn and Stewart are 20th in the Jensen. Team Jensen, sorry. And Ultima Racing GTR, the Mac G racing car of McGregor and Smith, are 19th. In 18th, we see Bramham and Andrews in the FF Course 430 Challenge car. 17th is Keane and Guglielmi in their Lotus Elise. As we move up to 16th, we see the Smith and Smith combo in the Ginetta G55 Cup car, and then we've got Sharp, Jones and Pittard in the Porsche 996 Cup car. 14th position sees the Adams, Green and Byford combination in the Lotus Evora. Quick car, a lot of onboards with them at Donington, so keep your eyes out for them. 13th is Jarvis and Fields in the Chevron GR8. 12th is Abram and Poole in the BMW M3 GTR. And then as we go to 11th, we get the Webbs in James Webb's team's car in the BMW M3 GTR also. It's Gilbert and Gilbert and Top Cats Racing Marcos Mantis is 10th. And in 9th position we get into Phillips and Story in their 458 Ferrari. 8th position is Driver and Hollins, another 430 Challenge car. And in 7th position we have O'Neill and Huggins in their Marcos Mantis. 6th on the grid is Beaton and Finmore. Another Marcos, keep your eyes on that car, very bright car, stands out. And Tomlinson and Sinton in their Ginetta G55 GT3 car are 5th. 4th position, we're into the big hitters of Bailey and Schultz in their 430 car. 3rd position sees Millard and Heward in the SR2. 2nd position, shock of the day, Marcelo Cintrano and White in the Mosler in 2nd, which leaves pole position for Mole and Murrells in their G55 car, and that is the grid.
Competition time now, and for your chance to win a family ticket to a round on the BTCC courtesy of Britcar Championship sponsor Dunlop, just answer this question correctly. How many cars did the Motion Sport team run in the Britcar MSA British Endurance Championship? Is it A, 3, B, 2 or C, 1? To enter, visit the Britcar website at www.britcar24hour.co.uk/competition. And congratulations to our competition winner from the first round, Adrian Barker from Leeds. Join us for part 2 when we get the racing underway.
Welcome to another episode of Racing No Filter. Joining me in sunny California, Bill Wood, and down in sunny Florida, Peter Keene.
We're going to take a look at some of the products HPD has created for the 2012 Honda Civic, and specifically we're going to show you how to install an adjustable sway bar.
Until then, folks out there, you take care.
Welcome back, and it's time to get the race started. But before we do, Danny caught up with husband and wife Top Cats racing team of Warren and Charlotte Gilbert.
So you guys are driving together. Can you tell us how that came about?
Well, we're actually married, but we co-own Top Cats Racing, and we've kind of threatened it for about 10 years now that that eventually one day we would actually drive a car together. In the last 10 years, Warren's raced and I've raced, but on separate occasions, and we kind of laid down the gauntlet, and we're now sort of pitting ourselves against each other. Warren's considerably faster than I am at the moment, but I'm hoping to redress the balance in the race.
Is she a challenge for you?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Last time we came here, it wasn't an MSA championship, but Charlotte phased me so much I actually threw the car off. So this time that can't happen because we're driving together. So no, we're really looking forward to it, and we're not doing too bad. We're a little bit slower than our other car, but we're still getting back into the groove of it. So it's been about 3-4 years since we've been sat in a car. So and they're pretty quick. They're a lot quicker than they were a couple of years ago when I last sat in them. So it's good to get out and see what they're like myself.
So here we go, Joe, it is race time and we are underway here at the Snetterton 300 for round 3 of the Britcar, and the cars all up towards the start line and away they go, and there's a lot of onboard activity straight away. We've got cars in front of us, cars to the left of us, and then we're on board with the Mosler, we're on board with the Ginetta G55 car as we go through Ritchie's, that all-important corner, heading down towards Montreal, the very tight hairpin into the new part of the track, Joey.
Yeah, a nice tightly packed start there, and I see the G55 leading the way, and this is the new part of the circuit now. It used to just turn right and head off down the big long straight, and now we're heading into the infield.
So we're going to have to try and pick out these cars as much as we can. A big grid of cars here. It's good to see that the Britcar Championship is kind of flourishing. We've got new cars coming into it, and we'll ID them as we go along. But yeah, out front just now we've got number 35 car leading the way, actually, which is one of the Marcus Manus. Is that a Top Cats car?
The Marcelo car is also slipping right back down,
There's somebody off in the grass and inside, Joey.
Yeah, that's not going to work, is it?
Lift off the gas, number 33 there. Oh dearie dear me, John Finmore having a bit of a spin, and again, trying all sorts of spins here. When you get in the grass, got to go try and lift off the gas there, John.
As I said, a bad start for our Marcelo car there, as we have a retirement as well. That's just on the old part of the circuit.
That was McGregor and Smith in the new Ultima GTR, the SG Racing car, and that started from the pit lane, that car, Joe, so it's not got very far at all. And Michael Riley in action here.
Yeah, still nice, tightly packed, isn't it? Battling as if it's a 10-lap sprint race. So we see these guys heading back down the start-finish straight, and the yellow flags are out.
That was
safety car.
Yeah, safety car, very, very.
Why?
Yeah, there's a wheel rolling in the track.
I think
there.
It's just a tyre, isn't it?
Either way, it's not very good. And we've also got the Ultima parked off. There you go. They're at the Ultima number 7. So
going to pack it all up again. G55 still leading the way from pole position, and the Marcelo Mosler did slip back down the order there at the start, didn't he? I'm not sure exactly where he is, but it wasn't the best start.
Down to Danny in the pit lane.
Saw you guys being pushed back into your pit. What happened there?
Well, we had to push it from the track over the back there all the way through the car park. He was doing really well, like I say. He was overtaking. He's probably got to about 9th, 10th, progressing. Looks to be the drive shaft that's gone. So the guys are fixing it now as quick as possible. Let's get it back on the track.
And what are your chances of actually getting it back on the track?
Who knows? Well, we'll have to see, really. It's just a matter of doing your best, trying to get it sorted out, and that's all you can do, really.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
So thanks for that, Danny. Some great insight there. A broken drive shaft. What a way to end your race so very, very early on. And well, the green flags are back out. And a few pit stops actually happening here. There's a number 33 car coming in. We saw that in the grass earlier on, Joe. That was spinning about wildly all over the place.
Yeah, I don't think he damaged anything. He was just on the wet grass trying to get some traction to get going again, but he's into the pit lane.
That was O'Neill and Huggins passing the Story car there, but at the front we have got more. I'll try and get that right. Lowe and Murrells there.
It's nice and tight at the front as well, isn't it? Battling away at the front there for the lead.
Yeah, stop laughing at me, Joe, please. Yeah, and there's one of the different colour cars we see there. The 70 car, that's an invitational car. It's good to see that at the front there. That's the Dreyer and Hollings car. Out of Montreal Hairpin, quite important to get the power down there. You can see the Schultz and Bailey car jumping out from underneath them, and we're on board here, and Schultz and Bailey go round the outside. That's dive up inside there. Good apex to get back to the inside and take the position.
Cloud of dust there on the horizon.
Yeah, somebody parked behind that grandstand there.
And here comes the Marcelo car making ground now.
So Paul White in this car just now, making up a bit of time, because he did lose a couple of good few spaces at the start, didn't he, Joe?
Took a couple of laps to get going.
Mind you, it's a 3-hour race, so there's no point doing any damage. And that Musler's a big car. You got to remember that's a big car, and it's a tight start of the race.
We've seen a little bit of carnage as well at the start of the race, so maybe he's gone with the strategy of keeping out of trouble and into the pit lane. Changed his mind, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's actually going down for a drive-through stop-go penalty, isn't he? Look at that. He's been a naughty boy, he is out there. Oh, bit of a lock-up there, and off goes John Finmore again. And number 33, Marcus.
Has he hit the barrier?
I really hope not. He went off on a fair rate of knots there, Joe.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to hit the barrier there. We kind of cut away before he had a chance to have a good look at that one.
On board with the Phillips and Story car here, and they're in a fantastic battle with, is that Lawrence Tomlinson just in front of them in his big Ginetta there.
Now Lawrence having freshly won the previous round as well at Donington Park in the slippery, wet conditions.
Exactly. Could conditions be any better here at Snetterton this weekend?
Looks perfect. It's always windy at Snetterton, but conditions-wise it does look it's nice and dry. And again, we have our car off, don't we?
It's not looking too good. And another safety car scrambled. So a couple of safety cars very early on here, as in comes the SR2 for a little bit of a, possibly just a splash and dash if it's this early. It's a little bit early for a pit stop and a driver change.
And again, the safety car is going to bunch everybody back up. We're going to see another sprint car style restart here, I'm sure.
It's about to get very busy in Britcar. There's the cars in and out of the pit lane. The number 99 car was coming out the pit garage there. So the Lunnon Stewart car, and in comes the Story, Phillips and Story 430 Ferrari. Let's see what they park this thing, the 458. Let's see what they park this up, and let's see what they're going to be up to here. always very important, as we've covered before in the Britcar. The pit stop is so vitally important. If you get that wrong, you're in trouble. And we've seen accidents or things happening in the pits recently, Joe.
Yeah, it's important that it's done quickly and efficiently. You can see the other driver sitting there and he's ready to jump in. The seatbelts are pulled out of the way, but there is a time, there's a maximum amount of time or a minimum amount of time that they can take with these stops for safety reasons.
So right behind them comes in the 72 car. Our 72 car also, Paul White has brought in the Mosley as well. So Bramham and Andrews there. You see Danny standing back there at the side trying to get herself out of the way.
Plugged in as well with a radio so the team can communicate with him when he's out on track.
Well, the number 33 car has been action a go-go at the start of this one, so John Finmore has brought that thing back in on the back of the wrecker unit tow rope, so that's
not been the best start to the race, is it, to be honest? It's a big long race so they can recover, but disappointing start.
So cars making their way back round now, and good to see a good grid of cars. We've stressed that and we can't stop saying that just enough. And in comes the Mole and Murrell's car. Now this was the car that was on pole position. They've kind of dropped a few places at the start, and that's quite surprising because they were very quick in qualifying.
Yeah, and initially he was there, and then he seems to have lost a few positions, and they're making their driver change now.
Let's head down to Danny in the pit lane for a sec, Joe.
So, John, tell us a little about what happened out there. We saw you recovered. You just about made it back to the pit lanes, and then you had to be pushed back in.
Yeah, the first time the throttle stuck open, and I spun the car, and we got it back in and played around with it and got it going and thought it was all fine again. And it was sort of going okay, but it was deteriorating. And then I spun off again, and it wouldn't start. And that's the end of it, really. So it's not a very good weekend for us, really. But it was a tall order to get here anyway. We've been working through the night to get it ready. So we're just happy to get here and have a few laps and go home and lick our wounds and come back next time.
Thanks for that, Danny. Some great insight from John there. A stick and throttle on the Marcus Mantis, and then a fan belt that wouldn't start, so what a disaster.
Yeah, sticky throttle isn't really what you want around a circuit as quick as this.
Absolutely not. So at the end of the first hour, it has been all action. There's been safety cars, and there's your 4 class leaders at the end of 1 hour. The number 34 Marcus Mantis in Class 2, the number 14 Ginetta G55 in Class 1, the 94 Lotus Exige of the Guglielmi car leading Class 4, and the number 70 FF Course Ferrari leads Class 3.
Well, join us after the break for the second hour of the race.
The club, an amateur racer. Here at GoRacingTV, we salute you. And we want to give you all the tools and info to compete with the best. Find out how to do it all from your own garage by watching our Club Racer and Autocrosser shows. GoRacingTV.com, supplying all your video racing needs.
Welcome back. Now, let's go straight into hour 2 of the race.
So the Bailey and Schultz cars leave the pit lane there, and in comes the number 14 car. Lawrence Tomlinson brings that car burbling down the pit lane.
It's another one of his Ginettas, isn't it? The orange one out, but that's such a lovely looking car. Really,
as you say,
nice.
Fresh from a victory at Donington, and he will be fairly happy with that. We can see the SR2 trying to dive up the inside of the Marcus Mantis there, the number 35 car, and out goes the Porsche, more accustomed to possibly the GT Championship, but great to see the Porsches here.
Absolutely. Tomlinson leaving the pit lane in the G55, or Tomlinson coming in. He doesn't have Michael Symons with him this weekend, who did a great job to get that win at Donington.
No, Symons, one of the karting talents of the UK, isn't he?
Yeah, great karter, and stepping up the cars. Works for Ginetta as well, I think.
Well, it's always handy to work with the boss, race with the boss, but there goes the Ginetta up the inside of the Bailey and Schultz car, and that's been a car that's been fairly rapid from day one, but it's also been very troublesome, Joe. We've seen a lot of sort of like small niggling issues with that. Remember the steel guns incident? Yeah, we all remember steel guns.
Look at this, avoiding action. There we go.
Good bit of driving there from the 25 story car there. Just manages to drive around that rather than driving through it. That would have been a rather costly one as it drives up the centre straight there. This place is littered with famous names.
It is. It's great. The Snetterton 300, to give it its correct name, it was a tremendously fast circuit to begin with. They've managed to keep all the big long fast sections as we got a retirement.
We've got is that Geoff Steele's car? If that's a Geoff Steele run BMW GTR, it's not parking in a very nice place, and clouds of dust, and there's somebody else up the road. Go on in. It's a silver...
34. Number 34 is all we can make
the
up.
Gilberts, the husband and wife combination there, so an absolute disaster for them. As in comes... in comes a car, and out goes a safety car.
Third time for the safety car as the G55, Tomlinson G55, back into the pit lane. I think this is going to be another driver change.
It's been a busy old safety car today, hasn't it? Busy old safety car. Here comes it Dyer and Holland's car. Charlie Holland's driving that car, and good to see the SR2 making its way back out as well. The fairly classic car. I like that one. It's got the Martini-esque stripes in it, and they seem to be getting faster and faster with every meeting, Joe, and more reliable as well. We did see them stop at Silverstone, but we're seeing some good reliability from that car now.
To jump back to what I was saying about Snetterton, how it was a mega quick circuit, they've managed to keep at these big long fast sections, the big long rivet straight, all these bits that made Snetterton, and also add a real nice intricate tight infield as well.
Yeah, it's worked well, Snetterton 300, as in again comes the Stack Racing car of Lawrence Tomlinson, and hopefully we'll grab a quick word with Lawrence in just a minute there, as out goes Manuel Cintrano in the Mosler just now, burbling down pit lane. That's kind of the class of the field, the Mosler. It's the benchmark.
It's early days in the championship. It's only round 3, but for me that's the champ.
Just here with Lawrence, and you had a clean changeover, did you? But you were crawling out the car.
Yeah, I just wanted to get out of the car as fast as I could, get Ian in the car. Scheduled stop was just bang on the safety car. We couldn't have asked for it any better. I was due to do half the race, which I've done. I brought a nice strong car in for Ian. We also get 25 litres in during the driver change. He's just come in again to get more fuel, but we got another 10 litres in, but that's about it. So maybe Ian can just about run to the end of the race now. So hopefully look quite strong.
So pit stops are happening still. Thank you very much for that interview with Lawrence Tomlinson there, Danny. And we go straight back on board with the number 17 white Ginetta, and this will
look how tremendously quick that looks.
Absolutely. And whose eyes gone past? Was that the Schultz and Bailey car? He just absolutely nailed that, and it was a black Schultz and Bailey car, and that was some overtake there. Brave move. Was that in the Richies? I think it was the first turn.
Yeah, not an easy place to overtake. He certainly went for it, didn't he? But the Ferrari's not given up yet as he dives back up the inside as they're on the new part of the circuit. We go on board with his 55 and he looks across as the Ferrari flashes past him, a 50-mile-an-hour difference there in a straight line. Absolutely fantastic shots from the Murrell's car there. These cars are quite down order so far. They're just outside the top 10, and we're an hour and a half way through the race as Michael Caine brings the Guglielmi car in, and we have got 9 cars all in the lead lap. That shows you just how close this race is around this 2.7 mile Snetterton 300 track. That's impressive after that amount of time, isn't it? It's not too bad as the Gilberts again make their way down, and Guglielmi's little Lotus with Michael Caine coming out the car and getting Stephen just strapped in there, and away they go. It's a quick little Lotus that with 2 very accomplished drivers in it, Caine and Guglielmi. They know what it's all about, they know what to do, as we see the number 70 Ferrari, the invitational class Ferrari. Charlie Holland's in that car now, making its way past one of the Porsches, and there you go, the SR2 dives up inside. Now the 17 car has lost 2 position there. Is that car slowing up any, Joe? Did that look a bit slow? It could have been. It was right at the apex of that tight hairpin, so it's hard to say, but it didn't look like it accelerate out as normal as we're back on board with the G55. Yeah, it didn't look slow at all there, did it? No, he's back on it again. Yeah, up the inside. What another big lunge. Braking manoeuvre, great braking manoeuvre. That's a class move there, right past that Ferrari. The Ferrari tries the cutback, the famous cutback. The next corner's a left-hander, so the Ginetta is on the inside for it. What's going to happen here? The Ferrari has to brake earlier, breaks that, earlier, I said fraction of a second there. Oh, hang on. Safety car 4 times, is it? 4 times for the safety car this time. I hope they've fueled that safety car up. As they're coming in now. And you can see the dirt on the windscreen as well. Lots of dirt on the windscreen as Stinton brings the Lawrence Tomlinson Ginetta into the pit lane. Some of these guys use these tear-offs, don't they? Windscreen tear-offs. I don't think in this race they will. Visa, I like the sponsor. We've both raced with Visa, haven't we? Yeah, I've raced with Visa plenty, yeah. So the drivers getting launched in and launched out of race cars in the pit lane, and there's the Intersport car, Stephen Clark making its way down the pit lane as well. We've not seen much of them on this race. They've been quite quiet for Clark and Gibson. It's not easy to see that, you know. It's not easy to no, lovely looking rear spoiler on that G55, isn't it? I want to know the idea behind that curved spoiler is, as the recovery truck is doing again another round. It's been busy today, hasn't it? The number 9 car as well, the Shelton and Faulkner car. It's just been right or not. That's a Caine and Guglielmi car, and that looked terminal. Yeah, he was out the car walking away, wasn't he, or walking back to see the damage. Have we got a restart yet? Not as yet. Still in the safety car. Here's the Phillips and Story 458. Now they're just coming in. I think are they coming in to splash
dash and dash, or they're going to prove me completely wrong and drag them, completely wrong.
Yep,
straight down for the seatbelts.
Yeah, they're not allowed to take the seatbelts off until they, nice bit of parking there, until they've stopped for safety reasons. And as you can see, 6-point harness in these cars, the radio connection, everything needs to go on, and you can see it's being timed as well to make sure they're not rushing it and missing a lap strap.
So yes, not exactly what you want, but yeah, you've got to get a little bit of help. As there you go, record truck complete.
Marshall's doing a great job as ever, collecting the cars, collecting the debris.
Steve Guglielmi will be gutted with that, because him and Michael Caine, they were looking like they were on for a good result here. As you can see, all sorts of little things happening in a pit stop. It's not just a driver change. That looked like something happening. That could have been an ECU behind there.
It was in the glove box almost, wasn't he?
Well, that's where you would normally find an ECU, or underneath the passenger floor. Well, but there's somebody. Well, the little Lotus on the back of the back of the wrecker.
94 car back in pit lane. We've got a restart.
We have got a restart.
Yeah, this is the restart of the race. You can tell by the 3 wide here as we head out into the infield.
Leaving Montreal to head back in towards Palmer's, and there's a Clark car, the Clark Gibson car, and that's contact, side-to-side contact.
That looks like damage.
There's a couple of punctures there, isn't it, for both those cars, or is it just the BM?
I think there's damage to the Porsche. I think I saw suspension damage potentially.
Somebody not been to the Fred Henderson School of Lifting there, as in comes the Mosler just now. Now, has that BMW been punctured? We saw coming into contact with the Porsche. That's an expensive collision, a GTR BMW.
Unfortunately, at this stage of the races, they've come so far yet. Punctured, two punctures.
Good absolute
effort.
Disaster.
Great effort.
He gets the car.
It's the number 3 Ferrari.
It's number 2. It's Bailey Schultz. Bailey Schultz again having some sort of trouble here at Snetterton.
The most unluckiest car on the grid.
Absolute disaster. Now let's find out see if we can find out, get a wire set up to us exactly what's going wrong with that there. But the Mosler now is starting to pick off a few positions here. Mosler's starting to pick off a few positions as we come to the end of the second hour. It's all happening.
We've seen an unusual pit stopping under the safety cars, with some cars coming off at 2 successive laps. Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, I mean, one of the really interesting thing about the regulations is the amount of fuel that you can put in.
Yeah.
Regulated standard pit stop, which is 50 litres you can put in under a safety car. You can only put 25 litres of fuel in, so it really kind of mixes it up. A track like Snetterton, you know, the length of the pit lane, the minimum pit stop lengths, and the sort of estimated speed the safety car is going to go around, you can actually work out that if you get the timing right and it sort of fits in with your strategy, you can get on the back of the Crocodile, come into the pit lane, put your 25 litres in, get the driver back in the car, and get on the back of the Crocodile, follow it around again, and then come in again, do the same thing again. So you've taken on the 50 litres that your strategy needed, and you've lost no laps. You've lost some track position, obviously, but you haven't lost any laps. Whereas if you pit at racing speed, the car's going to go around, you're going to be a lap down on your competitors. So
we're talking about this strategy, which is quite interesting, because we'll write that out of the race.
but you gave too much information away then, Simon. Well, that's the second hour. Join us after the break for the final hour of the race.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Welcome back. Now, Simon, you are a manager of motorsport, but you started off driving. First of all, how did you get into driving?
I started off just with a love of cars, really, and bought a Lotus road car, Lotus Elise road car, and sort of started doing a few track days and things. There's some really good clubs organised for Lotuses, and from track day clubs right up to race series and things that go on in the UK for sprint racing and now endurance racing. So did a few track days, kind of quite like that, decided that, hey, you know, next natural step's to go racing. Yeah, and next thing you know, you've got, you know, a 2,000 square foot workshop and a large truck.
Was it easy kind of transition for you to go from the driver to the manager, or again, was it just a transition?
I did kind of say I wasn't going to do any racing this year, and
that's what I like about you right now. You didn't want to do it.
No, I wasn't going to race this year. I was
Why
simply going
to.
We want to build the team into. We've got some very good ambitions with the team, and places we want to go and events that we want to do and how we want to move forward. So we kind of really need to focus more on team building and doing more events and pushing the team forwards. And the main way for me to do that is for me to do that and have someone else driving the car. You know, it's all well and good driving the car, but actually there's lots of work to be done elsewhere as well.
Yeah.
So.
And looking at the race, you said before as well that you get adrenaline, not the same adrenaline rush, I suppose, as what you would have got in the car, but looking at it, is that because you can plan, anything could change, it's tactics?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you realise you're on a team and everyone wants the team to do well, so you kind of feed off that as well, which is really good. And you know, it's kind of, it's a different kind of experience, but it's very, very satisfying. And in the 24 last year, as I mentioned, where I was literally just running from the pit wall, you see every single lap. You know, I didn't miss a lap of the car going past.
Yeah.
And you know, every pit stop was planned. And when you're driving, it's great. You know, you do a couple of hours in the car, you come out, you know, you're a hero, and then you go and sleep in a truck, which is not so glamorous.
Again, so
and then you come back and do it again, and it's kind of that's great. But you do miss out on a lot of the experience. You know, all the sort of comedy japes after being up for 23 hours and not being able to add up numbers and all that
like
kind
you're
of
going
thing.
crazy.
But no, it was an awesome experience. So I see the future of motorsport is less of me in the car and more pushing the team forward. So
that's incredible. That's very exciting. And well, I suppose back to this race, your car was second in the race. Did you think you could hold on to that? Did you think?
Yeah, well, I think the middle hour was quite interesting in so much as everyone's kind of gone into their strategies. So that's where you get. I guess it's kind of pensive and exciting because you know that some people have done their pit stop, some people haven't, some people definitely are going to need to stop. So you have to calculate the positions. Again, I think we had second track position, and you kind of think, actually, I think the car that was in front of us at the time still had to stop, so we were naturally going to go into the lead.
Okay.
So you can kind of work out how it's going to play out. But the middle hour was quite exciting because we did our first round of pit stops, which we said earlier under the safety car, which kind of got us up to that position.
Yeah.
And I think it was 2 Class 2 cars as well that were right at the front.
Yeah.
And a lot of that again was to do with the cars are a few seconds a lap slower, but their fuel burns slightly better, so they can usually run a little bit longer. So the Class 1 cars had their pit stops, so they were further down the lead, but they're coming up fast.
And you said as well, like the end of a race is truly when you kind of break the car down and have a look at it. Are you ever shocked sometimes by what you see? Does that?
Yeah, I think. You
never know.
Some of the cars, with the Ferrari, which is new to us this year, we're learning so much about it all the time, and things like fuel burn, for example. With Lotuses, we know exactly how much fuel it's going to use, and when we pump the fuel out at the end, we always like to have a bit of a sad game where we guess how much fuel is going to come out. We usually get it to within half a litre,
I'm so excited by that.
Absolutely. Whereas the Ferrari, to start with, was much more wild. We didn't really know how much fuel it was using because it's got all the gadgets on it, which help in some situations, don't help in others. But we're really getting to grips with the car now. So pull it apart at the end of every race. You learn so much by doing that. And if you ever do have a problem, you can get to the bottom of it, and you need to do that before you start again. Otherwise, you're going to get the same problem over and over again.
Just repeat it. And finally, where you are now, manager of motion sport, do you think with endurance racing it's about the driver, it's about strategy, it's about the weather being in your favour? What is the key, do you think, to winning a race?
It's about all of those things, but more importantly, it's about, the main thing is communication and team spirit. So if people are willing to communicate and everybody understands what's going on, then you can have a plan, basically.
Yeah.
But you've got to have good drivers, you've got to have fantastic mechanics and engineers in the pits, you've got to have a good strategy, you've got to have everything really, right down to the people making the corned beef rolls at the back of the garage that are feeding the guys that are doing this.
So it's all of it, it's everyone, basically.
It's all about corned beef, yeah.
It's all about, well, on that note, it's all about corned beef. Simon, thank you very, very much. Now, let's go back to the third hour of the race.
So at the end of 2 hours, it is the Rapier that is leading the way off Millard and Heward. The Rapier leading the way in the sunshine here at Snetterton from the Phillips and Story Ferrari. So things are changing. Manuel Centrano, Paul White and Javi Marcelo are currently in third position, but they're absolute disaster. And what a shame.
A familiar sight this year, hasn't it?
It
Ferrari in trouble.
But you never know. They have managed to fix things in the past. So
steel guns. These are the hardest working mechanics right here in the pit lane. As far as I'm concerned, these guys have done everything with that car, and it's so late in the day as well. What a shame.
It's a great shame. There's the Lawrence Tomlinson car making its way up, and we're back racing now here at Snetterton, the Snetterton 300.
A sleepy restart for most of the people there, sort of 10 car lengths between them. They want to get nice and tight.
Sleepy restart from me and you there, and it's never been the drivers. So, and finally, coming back out again is the number 9 car of Shelton and Faulkner. That car broke a drive shaft very, very early on, and they've just been kind of fighting ever since. But it's not been tested, it's not been tried. It's dearie me, what a way to drop a car almost in front of a Mosler.
And Mosler capitalised on that nicely. He was pulling out before he'd made the mistake to make that pass stick.
Race leaders are in the pit lane just now as we go to the bomb hole. All the corners have changed names, but one that really hasn't is the bomb hole. As I said earlier, Joe, it's been the bomb hole since day one.
Would have been a great shame if they'd taken away some of these great corners that Snetterton's famous for, but like I mentioned, they've kept all the great bits and they've added an infield as well. And it's great to see as well the overtaking that. It gives you these big long straights into really tight braking zones, gives you a great opportunity for overtaking with these great big cars.
the Phillips and Story 458. Now, that's possibly my favourite shape of Ferrari. I think Ferrari have absolutely cracked it with the 458.
Not for me.
Not for you?
Not for me. No, I prefer the older one. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's not a problem. I'm pretty sure.
And here we go. We see one of these. And he almost didn't see him there. The 99 car had a bit of a shock as our Mosley came.
Yeah, Lon and Stewart there. Lon and Stewart were in the wars with the big Mosler. Big Mosler would seem very big in the little chevrons mirrors. As we come round, we are kind of ticking away. The moments here, it's getting down. It's the sun. You can see it starting to come down in the sky. We're getting the glints off the visors. This is where you've got to think about what type of visor you'd want to run in a long endurance race, Joe.
Well, yeah, you think, why do they have the visor closed? But you can obviously make sense when the sun starts to come down, doesn't it?
And back out on the track comes the Guglielmi Lotus. So after being lifted off the track by the wrecker, we have got the car back on track, and we've got the 34 car facing the wrong way. A good spin there for the Gilberts there, the husband and wife, which we had a little interview with earlier on. Yeah, it's been an action-packed day for them.
Yeah, second off of the day. Hopefully it was one each. A silent drive home otherwise.
Yeah, you can imagine that one. That's going to rumble on for a couple of weeks until the next round. So, mechanics still doing their job, and well, we need to see what's going to happen when we get Javier Marcelo in this Mosler, because that's when the lap times are going to start getting put in there. Right now he's quite a bit behind, they're quite a bit off the pace. They're almost a lap down, Joe, so we're going to have to keep an eye on this computer and see what lap times Marcelo starts putting in when he gets behind the wheel of that Mosler and goes for it.
Would it be unfair to say he's the quickest of the three drivers, Dunk? Would you agree with that?
I'd agree with that,
most
yeah.
Most experienced, shall we say?
Most experienced, but also I think we'll have to say he is the quickest, and I think the other guys know he's the quickest. His pole lap that we watched when we were on board with him at Snetterton, or Silverstone, sorry, was fantastic.
Yeah, and interesting to note they didn't put him out first either.
No, they've saved it. I'd like to say that like us, they've saved the best till last.
Exactly.
Yes. So he goes through the bomb hole in that car. It's a big car. Keep getting up about the Mosler being a wide car, but that's not just a run and repair in that number 17 car there, was it? That was a big in-depth thing happening in the G55, and that was the Mole and Murrell's car. They were the guys that were on pole position setting the pace. Now that was hands deep into the engine bay off that Ginetta.
Had it been a 10-lap race, they'd be on their way up the road with silver at the minute. But these big long races, you've got to have the mechanical side of it covered.
Lawrence Tomlinson's car gets brought back around the back of the tow rope. Well, it's all going wrong for Ginetta. The cars that look bulletproof at Donington, Joe, they've both come back in the back of
I don't remember seeing them missing a beat this year, but that looks like it certainly missed the beat as it gets pushed away into the garage. The mechanics not urgently all over it, were they?
So Tomlinson and Stinton are not going to be happy with that. But there's the 77 car has managed to get another couple of alloys and tyres stuck into the Clark and Gibson Intersport racing car, and we'll keep our eyes on them because, well, they've been very quick, but they've been dogged by a bit of bad luck also. But the lap times are definitely starting to fall now as we look at the Mosler, Joe. The lap times are starting to fall.
It's starting to fall now, but a bit of an issue at the rear of that Ginetta G55, I imagine. All the bodywork off the back of it, so hopefully we'll see them back out on track.
It's a very slow Phillips and Story Ferrari 458, Joe. The 458 is trundling round there, and that's why Marcelo is going to be absolutely on the charge. Lights are on. The lights are on this big Mosler, and he knows that he has... Oh, and that's the Story and Phillips car into the pits, and it's coming from the lead. Well, that's handed it to the Mosler, which was only 24 seconds behind and gaining fast. And there you go. That's them going down the main straight into the lead. So the Phillips and Story car back out on track and seems to be back up to a good race pace there.
Just could be a missed gear or just catching his breath.
Well, we'll
tightening his belts.
We'll soon find out. Pull down on those belts one more time. We're about to go racing, but Marcelo is on to that. Yeah, you're right, Joe. It's nice that they've kept the big long back straight. The Bentley straight is really... Yes. Well held there. Is that the Faulkner car again? That's getting quite a lot of airtime for all the wrong reasons today. Back into Agostini's as they accelerate.
Normal overtaking manoeuvre, is it?
No, it's not. In 2 hours 59 minutes we're coming up to the last lap of the race, and it is Javier Marcelo who has managed to claw it back. He is the man of the moment here.
Yeah, it's been a great drive as ever. We saw in the first round, absolutely fantastic drive, and he's done it again today.
Javier Marcelo comes up towards the checker flag and wins at the Snetterton 300 in the Mosler MT900R. Marcelo Cintrano in white. Absolutely brilliant drive to come from not the best of the first couple of hours and to come back and win from there. Absolutely fantastic. In second place it'll be Millard and Heward in the SR2. Jarvis and Field are going to come across in third place. So, your 4 Class winners then. The Mosler takes the race and Class 1 win. The Phillips and Story car take Class 2 win, despite that late problem. The number 71 Track Torque Racing Chevron GR8 takes a superb Class 3 win, and the lovely BMW M3 of Clark and Gibson take the Class 4 honours. But here comes your race winner, Mosler, driven by Javier Marcelo. To talk to Danny, from myself and Joe, we'll see you next time.
Javier, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
How are you?
Really happy, really happy. It was so difficult. We didn't thought we will make it. It was a 1 hour long qualifying, so I am really tired. I tried my absolutely best all the time long, so it was very difficult.
Fantastic, yeah, pretty shattered. The oil temperature and water temperature were high, so we had to short shift for the last 40 minutes, but we just kept it going and we're here now, so that's fantastic.
So how did it go for you today?
Brilliant, fantastic. I mean, we had a good Donington, but had a few problems. But to be quite honest, other than qualifying, we had an engine problem we had to change. The race has been fantastic. Me and myself, Nick, have done a great job. The car's been fantastic, very good engine, chassis are phenomenal, and overall brilliant day, fantastic day.
Simon, you had an unexplained pit stop. Could you explain that?
We can now. I mean, those said earlier about getting to know the car and things like that.
Yeah.
Now, these things always happen when you're winning outright, and it looks like you might be able to win outright and things like that. So, essentially, as it turns out, what had happened. The 458 Challenge car is largely based on the road car, the Italia. So things like the catalytic converters, the exhaust systems, and things like that. It was basically the car had sort of thought that it had found a problem and gone into a limp mode. And part of its limp mode is that it starts throwing fuel into the engine to be safe, because you don't want to run a car too lean and you might do some damage. So effectively we lost power on track. There were no warnings coming up on the dash, and we had no idea why it was doing it. And then we had a fuel surge problem as well, and we know that we shouldn't have had to pit stop again.
Do you panic at that point, by the way, or again? It doesn't
I wouldn't say it's panic. No, there was a wave of disappointment when suddenly the call came in that the Ferrari was coming in, and then it dawns on you that actually we're not going to win it. You know, that was because at that point we'd worked it out, and it's going to come down to a last lap race for the Mosler, which was what, 4 seconds a lap quick, and those guys were on it. They were doing their qualifying pace to try and catch up with us, and we set the fastest lap in class, trying to run away from them. And
see, that's brilliant. So you had all that going on.
Yeah, exactly. Then this one thing, and again, it was just a road car system that we now know we don't need on the car, but it triggered a warning which put the car into a limp mode, and just drank a bit too much fuel. So.
And James, we've already got a number of cars showing that they have the pace to be outright winners and a variety of class winners. Are you excited for the season?
I'm very pleased that the system works. It's something that we've sort of put together over the years.
Yeah.
And another side is, I mean, when you get paperwork through from the MSA saying the rules and regulations that you have thought up are now being put in the Blue Book, it really sort of puts a rubber stamp on it, you know.
Yeah.
So we're very pleased. At Britcar, we're very pleased, not only for the drivers and the teams, that we're now getting back to the numbers that we were at 5 years ago. And we feel in motorsport that, particularly at Britcar, that the listening to the teams, and we had team meetings last year, and took the ideas from the team managers, and you were quite a few of them,
absolutely,
to try and improve things, and it's made a difference to the numbers on the grid, and the front of the championship is very close. Well, there's another 5 races to go yet. Where
would you like to see Britcar go, say in like 5 years, 10 years? And are you enjoying your time?
I've enjoyed my time coming back. As you know, I took some time out a couple of years ago, and I've come back, and I'm now running the show back as I used to.
Yeah.
And I feel as though there is still energy there, and there's still a lot to do. The 24-hour race, there are some things that will come up during the season, and we'll tell you about those.
Exciting.
Can't tell you yet because it's top secret. But we're planning to find another venue.
Oh wow!
Right, so I'll say no more than that at this stage.
That's breaking news, James.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
Time now to recap our competition. And remember, whilst you're on the website entering the competition, to have a look at all the information available there for the rest of the season, including everything you need to know about the 24-hour race. to our studio guests today. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, James.
Join us next time for round 4 of the Britcar MSA British Endurance Championship at Brands Hatch. See you then.